Hi guys. What is about to follow is one of the very first group Vagrein sessions, and I'm so excited to bring it to you re-edited up to be more concise and to get all of the juice out of it. It is really an epic session. I just watched it back myself, and it's from 2019. Regardless of how old it is, a lot of the content is still relevant. It talks about how to be in your own space. It talks about sin. It talks about seeing what is going on in the collective. It even talks about what to do about political situations. So I'm excited to bring you this session. Make sure if you want more sessions like this and even more new content from Vagrein to like and subscribe and to leave me comments. Currently, my stats in terms of liking videos compared to watching them are dire. So hit that like button right away because it does help me to bring you more videos. It supports my business and it supports me and it gives me that little bit of a boost during the day when I'm exhausted and I don't feel like editing anything else. I've got an event coming up in Boulder, Colorado on March 22nd. There are a few spots left for that. I've got 3 days in Florida in April and a full retreat in May here in Italy. Check out the details at www.jpherman.com/events or www.jpherman.com/Vagrein retreat. I can't wait for you guys to dive into this session. Have fun.
Your bard of the name of Shakespeare asked the question, to be or not to be? This is the question. That each of you may ask yourself. For whenever you are judging yourself or what you have around you, you are in a countering state of being. Hello.
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 We're curious why we incarnated, and specifically, if there's nothing to be done and humanity doesn't need saving and we can be at peace, trust, and relax, like, why are we here? Like, what is our purpose in a world that doesn't need saving? Can we just follow what's fun and exciting and blissful? And what are our responsibilities if we have them? Because I personally teeter between apathy, peace, and depression because I don't know the true purpose for my being here.
You are not here. And incarnated and came here because it seemed like the best thing to do at the time. You did not have any other plans for that day. In all the infinite possibilities, you determined that this would be the most interesting or fun way to spend what is not time. The emotions that you listed are polar. They have charge in not exactly opposite, but separate directions. And part of the lesson of incarnation can be, and does not need to be, the lesson of unity, which is the balancing of polarization. Perhaps these emotions are asking you to balance or neutralize. You do not need a purpose. You can sit beneath a tree for your remaining years and nothing would happen. Nothing that was meant to happen would not happen. And your idea of responsibility can be funneled into an understanding that the responsibility is for you to align with yourself, and furthermore, to understand that yourself is the whole. And so to align with the whole. And when you see examples of circumstance that does not resonate, what you would call suffering of others or injustice, you can choose to balance that injustice by whatever means you believe is necessary, knowing that the injustice that you are seeing exists only for you to have the opportunity to balance it. For if you did not seek that game, it would not be the one that you were playing. It is hard to understand that this is an illusion. The things that you label as atrocities are light and shadow dancing on the screen of consciousness. They're pixels arranging in mathematical formation for you to be able to see something that will trigger something within you that will trigger your growth in a direction that you chose to grow in. And from this perspective, there is no world to be saved, for all one would need to do is rearrange the mathematical algorithm that lights in sequence each of these pixels to display a different image. This is what you understand as shifting timelines, or choosing what you would like to see, or raising your frequency so that reality transmits an image more in alignment with your new frequency. This is a collective, and you are co-creating via intention, but intention is slippery. And there are many who co-create non-deliberately. So were you to have a responsibility for saving the world, as you have called it, your first and best step would be to understand the mechanics behind what that means. Take your steps back from interacting directly with physical reality and interact with it at that energetic or mathematical level. You may also use your skills and knowledge to continue to inspire those who are creating unconsciously with their addiction to drama and lower vibrational states by teaching them or expressing to them a possibility of things being different than how they perceive of them. Some of you may remember just 20 years ago that your reality was a very different place. Perhaps there was less awareness of some of the events and situations that you see as negative now exposed. However, there was also less understanding of these principles. The reason why things seem to be getting worse or are being shown to have been worse is a direct relation to the change in frequency towards the positive or towards the reality of how things work. It is a push to gain hold of those who are creating unconsciously. For the best way to get hold of those who would create unconsciously is to stimulate fear, sadness, anger in their beings. Your responsibility is to eliminate the addiction that you have to these emotions and to never waver in the stimulus of them. Your second responsibility would be to share with others how to do this. Thoughts and words change which pixels light up. Think of the pixels you would like to light up. Speak of what you would like to see. And do not think or speak of anything else. It was a long question. Was it answered satisfactorily?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to ask, are things predetermined? Do we have like a destiny, like a particular trajectory that our life will take, and we feel like we have free will through that? Or are things not predetermined and there's not some sort of trajectory that's like probable for us to go on, and we just have complete free will? Are things predetermined? Are they not? Is it a combination? What can you tell us about that?
It is both. In every moment, your every action puts you on a new predetermined timeline of probabilities. And yet, in every moment, you have the full free will to choose your actions. We can explain this further by thinking of a film projector room, and you are in a film right now. The frame that you are on is your now frame. It is static. It has no movement. There's no time. There's no space. Completely static, except for you within it. And by you, we mean the highest you there is. This highest you filters down through your being to the physical you, or the action capable you, who then will translate the will as best possible into your choice for the next frame. The moment this choice is made, the projector is opened, the film reel pulled out of it, another film reel cut at the exact moment, taped back to the film reel, rewound, replaced into the projector, and the film continues. This happens over and 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 over again at an alarming speed. And in no speed at all. Each of those film reels that is sitting on the sidelines, waiting to be spliced and connected and added to this film story, has an end of the film. However, you are constantly choosing between different reels. You may choose to continue upon the same reel for a week, and then make a new choice, and the film will be spliced. So there is no predetermined destiny outside of this splicing mechanism. And this is choosing timelines. We would like you to take from this the idea that it is all predetermined, but it is of your predetermination. And you have the ability to choose exactly how you want it to go. Or you are not only the image on the screen, but you are also the technician in the projector room. Who knows all of the timelines and knows exactly when to stop one and add in another.
So I love the realization that I'm constantly choosing. I remember that for about 2 to 10 minutes, and then later I feel guilty for my unconsciousness and for forgetting that I'm always choosing.
What is it that you like about feeling guilty?
I chose to believe that if I feel guilty, that will get me ultimately what I want somehow.
Well, is that true?
It doesn't feel true at all.
We would say then it is wise to stop doing that. The question is not how to remember, it is how to forget. You need to forget that you would like to feel guilty. We think it is funny too.
Forgetting seems sometimes more complicated than remembering, but that's probably because we are so busy thinking what we want or where we need to go, want to go, should go.
It is the same argument. Forgetting is one of the easiest things possible. You forget everything at night when you go to sleep. You forget when you are full of joy and doing what you love. You forget when you are concentrated on something that interests you. You forget when you are with people that you care about. You remember when you have nothing else going on, when you are not aligned. You remember to be guilty or shameful or unworthy or any of your favorite emotions because you remember in that moment that you are supposed to think you are someone. But who told you that you are supposed to think that you are someone? They did not know. And it was lies. Your parents taught you your name, but it was not yours. They told you your gender, but there was no proof of this because gender is a concept. They told you your nationality, whether you were good or bad, what your religion was. They told you what it meant to be smart and what it meant to be stupid. They told you what it meant to be special and unimportant. They taught you this is what it means to be a person, and this is what it means to be alive. But you already knew something different about that, didn't you?
Yes.
Before all of those lessons, you knew what it felt like to be alive, and no one had to tell you. So just forget what they told you because you already knew. Your negative feelings can only come back in when you're not in touch with that truth because that baby knew nothing of guilt. How could it? There will be a knowing. And we won't say in your memory because it's not exactly a memory. There will be a knowing inside of each of you where there is pure existence before. And we won't even define before what, because it is just before. And that same existence never left. It just got piled under the clutter. Now, if you go look for it, you will find it there. It has not moved. At the bottom of the pile of stinky laundry is you. When you speak of something that has happened or that happens to you or that is a pattern in your life, such as you just have with you remembering and then forgetting and then feeling guilty, you are enforcing that pattern. You are saying, this is me, it's not you. And we understand the desire to share your process and journey, but do not define yourself by your process and journey. And there is a simple word you can use to help with this. You may say anything you like. I can't do this. I can't do that. If you add the word yet. So I embody this new realization. And sometimes I forget because I have not fully embodied it yet. That simple shift will allow you to tap into the energy of the future self that has made that change.
Yes, I think it's really interesting how language keeps us in this illusion of separateness. And I'm wondering if you could say something, or if you maybe could point out which kind of language, words, sentences, or daily references we use that keep us in that illusion. Maybe you have something interesting to say about that. I'm just curious.
We will not offer words that keep you in the illusion, for that would be counter to our intention here. However, we may offer suggestions for how to slow or aid in the process of avoiding certain words or thought patterns semantically. This may be holding silence more often and studying the roots of your words and being aware of entering into conversation that does not serve, and before one speaks, spending more time with the thought until the most appropriate sentence can be formed to communicate that thought. We would say not to have any fear of specific words, but to know that your choice of words is casting spells, as you would say, or may say, and creates your reality very concretely, especially sentences that begin with the word I. We would advise prudence whenever one speaks of oneself. Likewise, for sentences that begin with you, he, she, they, because there is a very good chance that if you start sentences with those words, you will be uttering lies. If you tell a lie about another self, you are both exposing yourself and harming yourself. These are not deliberate most of the time, but an awareness of this is useful. Thank you.
Thank you.
I feel I'm not performing day to day at my peak mental and physical capacity, but I feel I am at the emotional, spiritual level. Can you speak to that?
Yes, there is no separation between these parts of you. And also, so what? Who decided your peak levels? Who are you performing for? What is it that you need to do? Why would you have it be different than how it is?
I think I'm believing that if I stop trying in some way, life won't be fun or engaging or exciting.
Okay, that is your choice. We will not tell you that it will be, because you are choosing that it won't be with this belief.
I have a question. When I was younger, when I was like maybe 7 years old, I remember looking in a mirror and feeling like I'm not that body in the mirror. I'm the whole thing, as I felt it at that time. Like I'm the whole me. And I use that memory as a permission slip to tune back into that state sometimes. But that state starts to look like me standing in the bathroom. So it becomes like this picture in my mind. And I was wondering if those memories, like the one of me standing in the bathroom, is still useful, or whether that would limit me into assuming that I'm this individual grabbing back to a memory that I had when I was younger and me and all that. I was wondering if you could speak to that. Thank you.
Nothing can limit you except for yourself. So if you choose to let it limit you, it will. You can know whether it is limiting you or not by how it feels. It sounds to us like you have some doubt about how it feels, but it is possible. This is not your native doubt, but some concepts you have learned and applied to the memory and to the usage of the memory in this way. If, when you tap into the memory, you have a recollection and a reproposal of the realization that you are all, then this is a very beautiful thing to have, to be able to use to tap into that sensation. If, however, when you tap into the memory, you automatically judge yourself as identifying with a memory or a body, or start to think about what this teacher or that person would say about your use of the memory, then we would say, perhaps this is no longer a practice that you would like to continue. Not because someone would say something or something else about the practice, but because you yourself have added distortion to the practice. and it is no longer as pure as would be you tapping directly into the knowledge that you are all there is.
Yes.
If a tool becomes dull and no longer performs its task, it is absolutely safe to go and buy a new tool. But if a tool does perform its task and your neighbor says, I don't like your tool, I like this tool better, my tool is better than your tool, and your tool keeps performing its task, then why would you buy a new tool?
Yes.
Let your neighbor dig his own holes, and your neighbor can be your father or your teacher or your lover or your friend. Everyone should focus on their own garden.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
What would you say to teachings that say to deny pleasure?
We would say that that is silly. Why would there need be any denial of anything in existence? Who knows more than all there is? Some teachings have been distorted from purer teachings that explain how powerful your physical apparatus is with regards to this topic. The potential for your body to be flooded with chemicals that facilitate connection with other selves and the higher planes are available in your being, in your physical being. And so 2 schools have appeared which suggest or command that pleasure should be controlled in some way. One school does so because harnessing these chemicals, which are latent in your bodies regardless, without the need for external stimuli, allows you to have access to these chemicals at any time you choose. And so, if you have chemicals which allow you a view into complete unity and open you to infinite intelligence, their suggestion of these sages to train oneself to be able to use these chemicals without external stimulus and to source them from within is wise, because a being who can do this is very powerful. For the same reason, another teaching discourages the seeking of these chemicals from external stimuli, because if you did not know that these chemicals were possible, perhaps you would not arrive at the point of seeking them internally and knowing that they were yours to begin with. So the restriction upon pleasure keeps beings from eventually arriving at that level of power, personal power. It also has set up your civilization for a dependence upon these chemicals in an unhealthy way. And anytime that someone has a dependence, they believe that the sensation that creates the dependence is external to them, and so are kept in a state of being able to be easily controlled. There can always be found in any argument the innocent distortion of the argument and the not entirely innocent distortion of the argument. As with all arguments, this one comes back to the self.
Could you clarify that last sentence?
Yes, the 2 versions of the distortion towards controlling pleasure exist so that the individual will never find out that pleasure comes from within, or the power that comes from pleasure comes from within. If all of humanity knew that they had access to the fire and intensity and bliss and feeling good state that they have when they are in ecstatic pleasure at every moment, then they would be completely uncontrollable and completely sovereign.
So, as I understand it, the idea of sin, as we know it in some of our religions, also has to do with that control and like the negation of pleasure, because one would forget that it's actually in his own power to create pleasures. So you don't have to search for them outside of yourself. So the intention with the sin teaching was proper, but it's been distorted to keep us controlled.
Yes and no. There is no sin.
Yeah.
And yes, the concept of sin was introduced to maintain control. Any teaching that understands the nature of all that is cannot negate anything that is.
I have a statement basically, which is that I'm very excited to see what is happening in America and in the politics and the darkness that's coming to light as a result of our increasing vibrational awareness. Maybe you can say something about what you feel in the probabilities for the next 2 years that might occur, or maybe nothing specific, but I'm just curious if you would share something about that.
We are excited too. We are excited that you are excited because excitement is good.
Yes, good.
We are also interested in following not only the events you refer to, but the lights that are flashing all over your planet and consciousness. It is like Christmas decorations for us and quite beautiful. We do not know fear or preoccupation, and so perhaps have a candy-coated perspective on the subject. However, we do understand that you are often fooled by circumstance and forget that it's not entirely real. So we would say the best thing to do for the next 2 years would be to focus on keeping your feet firm if there should be a storm. Regardless of political events, there is the intention and calling out for change, and change involves transmutation, and circumstances will have to reflect this request for transmutation. But know that at the end of every bushfire, the soil is far more fertile, and timings, as you have suggested, years, for example, are never set, but the match has been lit. We know that all it would take for everything to be okay would be for you to believe that everything is going to be okay.
Yes.
Thank you for your questions and for meeting with us today.
I hope you enjoyed that session, and I hope you're going to smash that like button and subscribe to this channel, because really that will make my day. I also want to know what your main takeaway was from this session, so leave me a comment. Not just that you liked it, but what specifically was the thing that touched you the most about it. Remember, this was from way back when I first started channeling, and so some of the flavor is a little bit different, but that too can be your inspiration to just start whatever it is that you're feeling is coming through you. I can't wait to see you here again soon. Leave a comment, like, subscribe. Bye-bye.